It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews, and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Hey up there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 239 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as I always am, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the United States, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. And we appreciate you tuning in recently. We recently did Help at 60 by the Beatles, and the Wolf was in London for a while, getting some shots at Abbey Road where they recorded it. Good to be back in my old neighborhood after a few years away. Also the one on Nicky Hopkins, legendary piano player, who was recently chosen to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, long overdue. But this week we are offering up a very special treat, something we've been planning for many, many months. That's a review of Iron Maiden live on the Run For Your Lives tour, 2 nights in Stockholm, June 12th and 13th. Why did we go all the way to Stockholm? Well, they're not playing North America this year. And we prefer the European crowds. They tend to know the songs better. They're more respectful. They're not a bunch of drunken idiots looking to fight everybody. It's a lot more fun. And 2 years ago, we reviewed them on the Days of Future Past tour when they did a little Senjutsu, but they also did Somewhere in Time very heavily. It was an amazing show in Amsterdam and Antwerp. We got to hang out with the band at the bar, at the hotel afterwards in the Antwerp show. Like, we can't top that. But we've got to see this tour because this is a greatest hits package. And some of these songs, we don't know which, but they're going to retire after this tour. So we had to go see them. We can't wait till 2026 when they might be coming to North America. Figure, let's take a family vacation. Let's go over to Europe. We chose Stockholm because A, we've never been there, and B, they're playing 2 nights. And 2 nights at a football stadium. They call it an arena because it is indoors, but 45,000 people a night? That's not an arena. That's a stadium. And they play football there. And it was fantastic. It was so much fun. Instead of the big silkscreen curtains or drapes of the classic album and single covers, they now have a video screen. Now, we'll show a lot of that stuff, but also do some interactive stuff. They made some films to enhance your understanding and participation in the story of the song, and it really blew us away. It's fantastic. It's a great investment that I hope means they will continue touring every year, which I know they will until some point. If Harris is 68 and Bruce just turned 67 as we're editing this, well, their days are numbered. But it's not because they can't deliver now. They are still doing it at an extremely high level. And I promised my 11-year-old that I would take her to see Iron Maiden and take her in Europe because it's just a more fun show than the ones that I've seen in America. Had a little bit of hiccup with her age. We'll talk about that on the show. But the bottom line is the set list was amazing. Everybody played their best. They introduced their new drummer, Simon Dawson, and the whole performance, the whole show with the video screen and the stories and the pyro and all the eddies and the fun things that make an Iron Maiden show an Iron Maiden show. God, it was fantastic. We can't wait to tell you all about it. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. As always, we like to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And it is in my best interest and yours to give a shout out to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who is based in the UK, folks, and they have over 250,000 items in stock, including many, many authentic, vintage, rare, and in good shape Iron Maiden goodies, from albums to singles to imports to t-shirts to magazines to point of sale stuff in store, all sorts of killer stuff in there, and they ship all around the world. And they have given us a code, UGLY, UGLY. You go to rarevinyl.com and you use code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one item, but one entire order. So yeah, maybe you want to find that rare first edition print that costs over £100. Great, you can save 10% off that. But also, save 10% off the picture disc you always wanted. Save 10% off the single that's so hard to find. Save 10% off a cassette. Whatever you can get your hands on, rarevinyl.com can get it too. So use the code UGLY, save a big fat 10% off a big fat order. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Iron Maiden. These are the 9th and 10th times that I'd seen Iron Maiden, the first being with Blaze Bayley, in fact, in the 90s back in Florida, when Steve Harris said, hey, let's just keep going, all right? We're kind of on a downturn here. Let's go back and win back the crowd. And I was one of those people that they won back with a live show in a club. And now they're playing football stadiums around the world as one of the biggest and best live acts on the planet. So you can come in at any point in the Maiden journey. Just like Jackson didn't see his first live show till 2 years ago. But once you're hooked, you get it, you know you want to go see them again. And that's why we trekked all the way to Stockholm, where the sun barely set, to see our favorite heavy metal band on the Run For Your Lives tour. So here's, folks, our fun family vacation to Stockholm, seeing Iron Maiden on Run For Your Lives, here on the Wolf. All right, well, let's start to get into the trip here, because there's so much to go over.
All right.
There's so much to go over here on one of these special trips of our lives here. Before we get to Iron Maiden in all their glory in Stockholm, we get comments on the socials. It's fun to read them. Sometimes we get nice emails from folks. And I got one from our buddy Simon C., who hasn't written to us in a while, but he covers a few different topics. And so I just wanted to read some of these out, kind of bridge that UK-US gap that we're always trying to better understand,
Okay.
He says, Dear Mac B, I haven't been in touch for a while, but thought I'd let you know how much I have enjoyed the recent episodes on Fleetwood Mac, Rainbow, and especially Fables of the Reconstruction. I first discovered REM when I saw them playing Pretty Persuasion on the Old Grey Whistle Test in 85, and although they didn't grab me immediately, over the next couple of years I got to know them better through the single Superman and The One I Love, and I bought the Document album when it was first released, bought the eponymous album, which we talked about on the show, The Greatest Hits, and discovered all those earlier gems, and from then on they were one of my favorite bands. I really think those early IRS albums stand up well. I agree with you there, Simon, and I find myself appreciating them more and more as time goes on, particularly Life's Rich Pageant, which is my all-time favorite. We are also in agreement there. I also wanted to comment on your appraisal of Fleetwood Mac and your observations on the lack of chart success in relation to the UK singles release. One factor is that in the 70s and early 80s, UK singles market was huge, but some bands were considered to be album artists, and their singles never sold well here. Fleetwood Mac definitely fitted into this category, hence the huge number of album sales. Also, the way in which people consume music was quite different in relation to singles and albums, as people tended to buy one or the other, but rarely both. And I myself bought singles in the 70s until I could afford to buy albums in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And musical tastes and fashion changed so quickly that people tend to purchase whatever singles were in the charts that week, that month, whatever. But they were rarely loyal to one from one artist to the next single or whatever. So all that. Hopes all is well with us. And he hopes that we feature more REM albums in the future. So we thank Simon on that tip. Yes.
Yeah, always nice to get some feedback. It's interesting that like you said, it's people over there would buy whatever was on the radio. Like, hey, if I know this, so I'll buy it. I've heard it before. Other than I like this band, they've got a new single, I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, well, you remember what Neil from Liverpool and Def Leppard Pod would tell us is that whatever's in the charts, that's what they would play. Like basically everywhere. Right.
Right.
in the factory, in the supermarket.
40.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe some top 40 from not too long ago in yesteryear. But anyway, enough of that. Thank you so much, Simon, and we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who listens and gives us a little feedback. And you can email us at uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. That's the one. We need to get on to a very special weekend, long weekend in Stockholm, Sweden, someplace that I had never been, that you had never been, but that I would gladly return to because I found that place to be marvelous, beautiful, excellent.
Well, yeah, I would say the same thing, but with the caveat that we went in the summer and not in December.
That's a fact, yes. And the first day we got there was Wednesday morning. Yeah, it was a little chilly. It rained a little bit on us that day. That's why we jumped on one of those like river boat touristy, European flat top window boats. But it was great. Learning about Sweden's history is so different. Never been there before. It's so different than a lot of other places in Europe because it is kind of separated by the Baltic Sea and the North Sea up there from a lot of other things. So the Arctic Sea, I guess, from other things. So it was a neat place to be for a few days. I'm glad
Absolutely.
when we saw, hey, Maiden's playing in Europe this summer. We want to go. Where do you want to go? Never been to Stockholm. Let's go there. Not to mention, they're not just playing one night. They're playing two.
Yes, that was definitely the bonus. And yeah, I'm glad we did that because, yeah, we could have gone to, well, I mean, we could have waited till they got here, which we may do in
Next
another
year. Yeah.
next year. But it was cool. Yeah, it was cool to go to some place that I'd never been before and just, yeah, experience some of the culture, see some of the sights there. The place where we were was fantastic just to walk right down to the water there.
Oh, I know.
And the museums. When you peeled off on Saturday, I went to that Vasa Museum, I believe is how you pronounce
Right,
it.
yeah.
Where they have the ship that they recovered from the 1600s, and just to see it's just amazing. Like there it is, all put back together again. Not 100% preserved, obviously. It'd been in the water for a while, but yeah, it's a moment in time that you get to return to.
Yeah, and although it's a big place, there's over 2 million people that live there. It sprawls out for a long way, so it takes a while to get from the airport to into the city. You can see some of the different neighborhoods. Plus, it's built on all these islands that once you get down to this, what you call the CBD, then you go south, you hit different islands, and it's kind of just an amazing place. But we took the whole walk. You and I walked along the lake for a while there.
Yeah.
On Thursday, I guess it was. And then me and the girls just circled the whole thing there on Friday. It was so nice to have this big green space and a big lake, and it's nice and quiet. And you might see a couple little weird animals, even though it's, right in the middle of a bustling, big European city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the architecture is cool. There's nothing, I mean, at least where we were, there was no giant skyscrapers. So it was all it was very chill. I think you pointed out that a lot of the stuff in one area was all like there was no residential, it was all just government stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of segmented out. It looked like it was planned out fairly well.
Yeah, and of course they've been through a lot of wars and things like that. Learning about how they use the lock system and and how it's changed just in a couple hundred years. It used to be kind of a gross place, really.
Yeah.
From what I understand, and now you wouldn't even think that because it's so beautiful, it's so well run, and the talent there. Jackson, oh my God, the beautiful people there, off the charts good looking.
I actually brought that up in a meeting I had at my office that next day that I was there, because what really bent me out of shape were the gentlemen who were walking around looking professional. Mm-hmm. I didn't see one person. I mean, there were people like in workout clothes, but there was nobody like, you can't take my guns, slopping it up in a t-shirt or anything like that. Either you were actively jogging, working out, or you were dressed like you could go to work. Sport coat, nice slacks.
Yeah, and no ties, but they looked incredibly professional.
Correct. Yeah. I'm like, we need to step our game up here in the United States of America. And everybody was looking pretty good there. And
ladies are unbelievable. Like they're all in good shape.
Right.
Because they have a good diet. Yeah, they're all tall. And I'm not into blondes, but I'm like, God, would you look at these blonde girls over here?
Make an exception.
Crazy.
Trust me.
Yes. Unbelievable. And the thing is, the later at night it got, because it basically never got dark. I mean, it never got pitch black the whole time we were there. The hotter they got, like the more, sexy they would dress. And
correct.
Like, oh my God, this is a fun little place. We should come here 30 years ago, man.
We may never have left.
Instead of, when we're in our 50s and married and stuff, like, God, look at the party scene they've got here.
What time did you go to the airport in the morning?
Not that early, like 10.
Okay. I had an early flight, and I was not super sure how long it was going to take or any of that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to get up and go. I left the hotel at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. The sun was already up. It was the most bizarre thing. Like I walked outside, I thought it was like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
And there were people that were up too, like walking around.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I get the feeling that when you have this summertime sun, you get up early and you stay up late because you want to make the most of it.
No, we had back-to-back days, and like it just got to be about 70, and then I think when we left, when you were there solo, it was like mid-70s. And they all were saying on those 2 days where it just got to be 69 or 70, like, most beautiful day of the whole year. I'm like, yeah, I bet there in like January and February and March, it's like, ugh, get me out of here. So yeah, so everybody was out happy to be out, but it was a beautiful place. Now that airport, maybe the biggest damn airport in the whole world. We had to walk so far in so many different directions to get to the bag, to bag drop, then to get through down to the gate. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was huge. It was ginormous. It was a bit of a maze.
Yeah. So I got there, and I had to when you first get there, you got to check your passport and everything. Okay, cool, got it, thanks. Then you go through security. Then they check your passport again. Okay. Then you start walking to the gates, and I had a little bit of time, so I stopped and got something to eat. Okay, let me make my way over to the gate. Oh, wait, I now have to go through another passport thing to get to this group of gates. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad no one's here because, I mean, that line could have been pretty long. I could have been pretty upset about this whole thing. So I get through that. Then I get to the gate. Then to get to the gate, you got to show your passport again. Where do you think I'm doing between the time that I got in here and now? I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Although, speaking of that, back in lovely Newark, I must have heard the announcement, it is illegal to bring firearms on your carry-on items. Please check your bag before you get, like, okay, so obviously you've had this problem several times now that you have to keep repeating that. It wasn't one guy years ago. Oh, I can't bring this with me? No, dummy, you can't. Funny, I didn't hear that in Stockholm.
Nope. Didn't ever feel like anyone was ever armed anywhere near me. Just a nice place to be, good place to be with your family. You know, I had the Wolf and the Wolf Cub there with me the whole time. It was fantastic. It's just a beautiful place. Very, very nice people. If I was that good looking, I wouldn't be as nice as they all were. And
very laid back too.
Yes, chill, easy to get around. Props to Alexander, the captain of that ship. You have to buy tickets either at the ticket booth or online. And you have to do it by the time, obviously. If they're sailing at 5, you have to do it before 5. Ticket booth closed at 4:30. I tried to buy it online. It wouldn't let me. He said, all right, hey, just come on board. It's like $100 for the three of us. He's like, you know what? Just come on board. I couldn't even tip him. I didn't have any Swedish kroners. The guy at the airport basically talked me out of getting local money. He's like, you'll never spend it. It was like $120. They don't take cash anywhere. You'll never spend $120, kroner. Or it's $120. It's like 1,200 kroners, something like that. Yeah. Because when I bought the football jerseys at the Iron Maiden show, it was like 2,500 kroners or something like that. Yeah.
But the nice part is it's easy to convert. You just take off a zero, and you're in the. It's not exact.
You're in the ballpark.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
This is Uncle Steve from Uncle Steve's Iron Maiden Zone, and you are listening to the Wolf and Action Jackson on the Ugly American Werewolf in London podcast right now.
But enough about that. Blast there, great place. But let's get into the show. Right. Certainly show 1. We're going to talk, as far as we do the first concert memory kind of information, we're talking about June 12th, 2025. We also went June 13th to the 3 Arena in Stockholm, Sweden to see Iron Maiden on the Run for Your Lives tour. And Halestorm opened for them both nights. And we had to take the train, and I guess we didn't have to. We could have gone several other ways, but we took the tube, the train, whatever, took us right to the block it was on.
Yeah.
And my first thing is because it's an arena. It's called an arena, which means it's indoors. And the biggest of those is about 25,000, and most are in the 16 to 20,000 range.
Right. Yeah, you think basketball, think hockey. That's what arena means to me.
And then I see this big silver thing down at the end of the road. I'm like, well, that thing seems awfully big to me. But hey, I'm sure it's a nice place. Probably have shopping and all that in there. Let's get in there. So we go up the steps to get in there. And of course, they gave us those little cards that said, they're almost like little credit card shaped things.
Yeah.
You peel the sticker. You got a QR code. You could win a signed set list or something cool. Nobody ever does, but you get 15% off at the ironmaiden.com store. So, but they're cool little souvenirs. Considering they don't give you real tickets anymore, that's a nice little take home from the show.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to start collecting those things because, there is no more ticket anymore. And it doesn't have the information of where you went.
Right.
like the old ticket, but at least it has, it's got the cool picture. It's got the, tells you it's the Run for Your Lives 2025 tour. That's as close as you're going to get. Definitely keep that in the collection.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out. I bought this program for my computer so I could design some, and I could use the old Ticketmaster things if I can put it together. So maybe for your birthday, don't hold your breath, but maybe by then I'll have it figured out. I'm working on it. Like Ruby and I said, oh yeah, let's just figure it out. And after 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, you can go. This is going to take me a while to just get to the basics of this damn thing.
It's so easy. Uh-huh.
But the venue turns out was a lot bigger than just an arena. It is actually an indoor football, or soccer as we call it here, arena. And it did have a retractable roof, but what did you say the guy said it was open like 3-4% of the time or something like that?
Yeah, when we were in Tennessee, in Nashville, we were talking to one of the guys from the Titans organization, and he was telling us about the new stadium they're building right next door to Nissan Stadium. Oh, and it's going to be domed. And I said, oh, hey, are you going to have a retractable roof? And he was like, nah, it's stupid. He's like, they're open, like 4% of the time, these things. So it's a waste of money. But who knows? Maybe they would open it more only because they want to see the sun shine.
Right, yeah. If it's not freezing cold or snowing or raining or something like that, they actually wouldn't have to do it open air. It was closed for ours, though. But so that means it's much wider on the floor than for a basketball or a hockey arena. I kind of just assumed it was a hockey arena because, well, it's fucking Sweden. Mm-hmm. But no, it was that. So when you're on the sides of the place, you're really a lot further away than you've ever been before. So when I ordered the tickets and I got like fourth row, like, dude, we're fourth row right up. We're going to be able to see Adrian Bruce is going to be right here when he sings on this side. We're still like, I don't know, 30 yards away from the side or something like that. And there's no seats on the floor. It's all general admission. There's first to the barrier down there. And there could have been 8,000 people. I don't know how many, and then there's behind them, there's another layer of like, yes, I'm on the floor. So they said that it's 30,000 for soccer matches, football matches, and up to 45,000 for concerts. Geez. So I'm telling you, they did 2 nights there, 40 to 45,000 people. I bet it was 85,000 total people anyway, Jackson. That's unbelievable. And they played, Helsinki's Olympic Stadium, 2 nights afterwards. They're playing football stadiums on this tour. Not everywhere, some arenas, but they're playing football stadiums. It's unbelievable.
I could not get over that. That was the first thing. Yes, this place is a lot bigger than you thought it was going to be. And oh, wait a minute, they're playing 2 nights here. And I was trying my hardest to look like when they did the pan to the crowd. I mean, I could see the floor was packed. You couldn't have fit anybody else on there. There were no extra tickets there. I was trying to look up in the rafters to see. It looked pretty full both nights.
Yep, absolutely it did. Yeah. So my only thing is because we're right next to, I'd say we're right next to the stage. We're right next to the end where the stage usually would be. We were 4th row, and I think the next night we were 13th row. Would it have benefited us to been a couple of sections further away, just because we would have had a more clear view of the stage front ways and the side TV set?
Yeah. And that's going to come up later because the stage show was totally different. And I know you're going to say, "Oh, how much different could it have been?" Totally different.
It's different.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it would have benefited because you would have had a better view of the entire stage itself.
Yeah, I agree. The new setup is so incredible. I didn't know that at the time. Well, and also I thought I was doing good. I'm like, I'm getting us close, to what should be the stage. I didn't realize how enormous it was on the floor down there. But we still got to see cool stuff. There's no doubt about it.
But that okay, so that brings up an interesting point of when you suggested this whole thing, right? Yes. There was a little voice in the back of my head, like, do I really need to go see these guys again? I mean, come on. We saw them twice. It's going to be 2 years ago, but this is going to be a different deal. It's more of a greatest hits package. Oh yeah, okay, let's go. We get in there, and there's a couple people sitting in front of us, and there's one guy sitting next to me, and we start striking up a conversation. And you say to the guy, hey, big fan? Oh, yeah, big fan. How many shows have you been to? I don't know. I've been following them since 82.
Right.
And he was going to both of those shows. He went to the Helsinki one.
And the Copenhagen one.
And the Copenhagen one. And he was kicking himself for not going to the one in Norway.
For not doing Norway, yeah.
It's like once you get into this deal, you can't stop. It's unbelievable. It's like everybody there was the first time they'd ever seen it.
I know, and I've been telling you for years, dude, we got to go see Iron Maiden
Right.
together. I'm telling you, it's not just another show. I've been to hundreds of shows, okay? I'm telling you, it's special to go to one of these shows. And then when you saw them in Amsterdam 2 years ago, and then the next day, I'm like, are you excited to be going again? And you're like, absolutely. I cannot wait. And it hooks you like that, because once you see it all live, it's like, God, that's amazing. And the thing is, the first time you're just trying to keep up with the songs, sing along, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The second time you can really kind of zone in and say, what's the detail on the stage over there? Like, what kind of guitar is he playing now? That kind of stuff that you really like to do when you got the time to do it.
Right. But now after the second show, I'm walking out thinking, all right, so if it's 2025 now, when will they come back again? What do I think the set list is going to be like in 2027? What'll that be?
Exactly.
Will they put out a new record? Will it be another greatest hit? Yeah, it's a sickness. It hooks you in. And just to see that community of people who, I think I was the only person there pretty much not wearing an Iron Maiden shirt.
Right.
Everybody else had it. It's
true.
It's insane.
There's so many of them from over the years.
Yeah.
And they were killing it at the sales that day. I mean, killing it. By the time we got to day 2, and I was buying the Wolf Cub her jersey, they didn't have any mediums. They didn't have any double XLs. Like, you'd have a large or an extra large, and I bought one of each. And the extra large actually fits me pretty well. So it's amazing what they do business wise. But it's not, when you see how they give it up every night for the show that they give. And now that they have all this extra video content around it, it really is special.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about where it ranks kind of later. I love that. And I'm not using them exactly, but, going through some of the first concert memories questions, what was your pregame ritual? Well, it was to walk down together to the square, and then for you to say, "Oh shit, I forgot the earplugs." I'm like, "Oh shit, so did I." So we had to go. You had to go back and get us some earplugs, because that's the way you survive going to hundreds of concerts these days. You got to have those. Brian Slagle, who's seen over 300 Iron Maiden shows, would agree with me. But we got to give a little mention to Lzzy Hale and Halestorm here.
Oof, absolutely.
Because she was a bit of a powerhouse, and I'd never seen her play live before. I'm not saying I'm super familiar with the music, but I always had respect for her because I knew she had the voice. Mm-hmm. But as far as putting on a show, pretty damn good.
Yeah, as respects to being a front person, front band, front woman to a show, absolutely. She was out. She was engaging with the crowd. She's very attractive to look at. That's a plus. She plays the hell out of the guitar. She, at one point in time, she was playing the keyboard or a MIDI or something. So that's cool. And yeah, the voice is just unbelievable. I don't know how she screams like that and then sings. Yeah, I mean, the crowd was, a lot of times you go and the opening band plays and people are there, whatever. They were into it. The people in the front were into it.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by that.
And she's wearing, it's sexy, but it's not over the top or anything, and she's got those long boots with the stiletto heels. It's like, how do you manage the stage in that thing, But no, and then is RJ Hale her brother on the drums?
I think so. I don't know. Or is it like a White Stripes thing? I have no idea. I think that's her brother. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he impressed me, actually. He was actually a hell of a drummer, and he had a pretty decent sized kit, but he wasn't behind it necessarily. Like, it was carved out for his face, and you could see his torso from the front of the stage, and then everything was kind of around him, and he was awfully good. And usually when I see, okay, we're going to give the drummer 2 minutes to do his thing, like, okay, this is a good time to go get a drink, go take a piss, whatever. He was awfully good. And then he brought out those big, huge drumsticks and not just went boom, boom, but actually did some playing with him. Like, well, see, now that's entertainment right there. That's a show. That's a performance. And I gave him credit for that.
Yeah, and it's cool because it lets everybody else have a rest for a second to not completely just pass out on the stage. Yeah, I thought when he took the big ones out, I'm like, okay, this is just a novelty. But yeah, he was actually playing with them. That was pretty cool to see. Because sometimes, especially if you're standing down there on the floor, it's hard to see the sticks. But now I know exactly what he's doing with them, so kind of a cool gimmick.
Yeah, I agree. Now, can we talk a little bit about how it was a bit of a maze to get in and out, especially on night one, because we would go down, we could go up, but they wouldn't let us in there because it was like a VIP, not VIP, more like the suite area. But then when we went down to get out to the concourse, we did go into the VIP area where they were selling like trooper beer or whatever they were doing. It was special down there. We didn't have the wristbands, but we walked right in.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. And then, then we had to go back in a different way. It's just kind of, the setup was odd.
It was very strange. And even walking around in the arena, especially when the lights were down, there were a lot of like, you had to step up, you had to step down. If you weren't really paying attention, you were going to go flat on your face on this deal. But yeah, we walked in and no one even batted an eyelash. And then we just walked back into the same VIP, the trooper beer entrance to get back into the arena. No one said anything.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. We just walked right in.
And then the both nights when we got up to the top part where we were supposed to come in, there was nobody there.
Oh God, it's dead quiet, man. And especially the second night, I just walk up there. Hey, can I get some popcorn or whatever? Yeah, run and take a pit. There's nobody there. It was silent.
Yeah, that was excellent because it was only like one set of stairs up, and then the restroom was right there. You had concessions. The only thing was there was no merch up there. That was kind of a pain.
Right.
But other than that, it was fabulous because usually most places you go, you're missing an entire song waiting for popcorn.
And yeah, and the merch, I got to tell you, the merch was hot. It was, I bought a shirt. You bought a different shirt. Bought me and Wolf Cub the football jersey with 11 on it, which is huge for her because she just turned 11 and she'll have that forever.
Yeah.
Plus she got like the wristband with the fake studs on it.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, that's what you want? Okay, yeah. I don't know where you're going to wear that, but yeah, you go ahead, sweetheart.
She is
all
going
yours.
100% try and wear that to school, I guarantee you.
We'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, now, and then, like I said, first night we're on kind of the left side of the stage, if you're looking right at it, 4th row. And the second night we're on the right side, the 13th row.
Right.
But you end up watching the screen a little bit. It just depends on where Bruce is and what they're going to flash up there and stuff like
right.
that. But we could see, first night I thought we had a good view of at least the monitor, and then we could see the stage. It was pretty close to us, but it also was like we were so close. A little like 10% of it was cut off for us too.
Yeah, the problem with that is when Dave and Adrian were back, and it was kind of hard to see. But when they came up to the front, it was no problem. And the same thing with Bruce. He would move up and back. Steve basically kind of just stays in the same spot. He'll walk up and back a little bit, and then Yannick was on the other side twirling around,
just hopping around, and swinging his guitar around, and playing it upside down and stuff.
The thing about him that really caught me is I understand like there's 3 guitarists now, so you have to get in where you fit in here.
Yeah,
but most of the time it looks like he's playing at about 10% of what he can really do. Like when they let him rip it up, you're like, okay, yeah, no, he's pretty good at this.
Well, no, that's the thing. Most of these songs were written without him.
Right.
And actually, I would say all but one was. And then you do stuff from the first album or Killers. Okay, now we could let, him do second guitar because Adrian could then be third.
Right.
But, you can't tell, Adrian on the clairvoyant, okay, you sit that aside. No, or 2 Minutes to Midnight or anything like that. So anyway, no, it was just a fun show. So we got to kind of start walking through this a little bit.
All right.
They do Doctor.
Yep.
Which gets everybody psyched up. And then they pump through the speakers the Ides of March. So they really are doing something to hit these first couple albums. And then they have a video. And the screen is no longer just, some big cloth silk screens of the album covers and the singles. This is a state-of-the-art screen that looks amazing.
But which you didn't see when you walked in, they were just kind of showing what they were showing on the side screens.
That's right.
When you first walked in. And then for Halestorm, it just said Halestorm.
Halestorm, right. It's that other logo on there.
So you really didn't see what was happening until it started into that. And then there was like a bulb that was flashing, and then you were walking down this like alley and they showed you like the original Killers it would look like a poster that somebody had put on a wall in an alley, and then went past the Ruskin Arms, and
right,
it was just,
and you go by 22 Acacia Avenue, and all the different spots they played, and some of the tube station, all that kind of stuff. It was really kind of cool with the Ides of March running in the background, until it got down to the Killers poster, and then. Yeah, and then they kick off the show, and they start with Murders in the Rue Morgue. Mm-hmm. And I guess the video animation was the Eiffel Tower with the sky changing a bit throughout the course. It wasn't crazy, so they're kind of warming you up. And so, even with the animation, so they show the Paris skyline with the Eiffel Tower up there, and then the clouds are maybe getting a little more sinister as the night goes on.
Right. Yeah, it's subtle because you don't want to overshadow what's going on the stage. Now we're just kind of adding to it, but right off the bat, that's where I was like, okay, this is a totally different show. This is totally different. It's more immersive now than it was before. And it just added to that just enough at the beginning.
Yeah, no, and I saw Bruce doing a shout-out video, probably for the fan club. I think I got it in the email from him. He's like, look, we just sat and watched through. This is right before the tour started, so we just watched the run-through. Like, they just piped the music in, and we watched what the screens look like and the changes and things like that. And from sitting in the crowd, which we never get to do, it was amazing. It was the coolest Iron Maiden show. I'm like, they always say this is the biggest, so this is the best. Whatever. This is the coolest. This is amazing what they're doing now, and it adds so much to the show. You know that the music's going to be great. Steve's going to ensure that everybody's on time and everything, but it gives you something else to look at, especially if you're in a place where there's 45,000 people and you're sitting way back. That screen, if you were in the back, was the show.
Right. Yeah. And it was cool to see it. It just added so much to it. Just kind of made it more immersive. That's why I'm thinking, had we had a seat that was, even though we would have been farther away, more of a direct view on it. Because I think what was happening was the stuff on the sides, at some point in time, it made it like it was one big thing, like one big screen, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be cool, too. Plus, they had screens basically on the front of their amplifiers.
Right.
That kind of wraps around the stage,
on the stage, yeah.
And that added to it too. So like when they're doing Ancient Mariner, you can see like the ropes and the lines and the lanterns there. Or if they're doing Wasted Years, it's part of the computer for the spaceship or whatever. Right. And or it might be the velvet things for the opera house, so it's just really, really cool state-of-the-art stuff to just make it more of a show. And they really pull it off. Okay, next up is Wrathchild, an old Diano era tune, under 3 minutes. It's more of a punk song than a metal song, I would say. And I think it was to the backdrop of the Killers album or, something like it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I guess I can check that off the box. I think I may have seen them do that before, but it was never really my favorite. We'll get into the set list, like how we would rank it at the end. This was one that was, at least it's short. I understand they're trying to honor some of these songs. This is probably one that they won't play again, because they basically said, we're going to play some of these songs and then we're never going to play them again.
Right.
Because this is from the first album through Fear of the Dark, with nothing from No Prayer for the Dying. And if just so they could get Fear of the Dark, so they could get Fear of the Dark in there, because people love that live, and we will get to that.
Right.
But then when they got to Killers, I was really glad they put that in there, because I do think the music is cool. It was showing the way they were going to be in the future. It was like a little taste of it, and Bruce going "Wow!" screaming "Wow!" It was like, wow, dude, he's really belting that one out.
Now, before that, we did have a little bit of crowd. Was it before that they had the crowd work? When does he introduce the newest member of the band?
That's about that time. I was going to go through my photos to see if I could do that.
That was the first time Bruce interacted with the crowd, and he wanted to give a shout out to Simon, who's the new drummer in the band.
Did I mention? No, I didn't. That it's been 50 years of this band on this earth doing this shit. Right? And because everything changes, but everything stays the same, we have ourselves a new drummer in the band. Will you please welcome Mr. Simon Dawson? No pressure. Hey. How much did you pay them?
But then and I thought about it when we first kind of saw the stage come on. The drum kit is totally different. It's totally stripped down. Whoever's doing the drum tech has a hell of an easier job now.
Well, but you say that, and you're right, because Nicko had him all over the front of him, and it was even hard to see him sometimes back there.
Right.
But it's like he had more around the back of him, because I was the same way. Oh, this is a much simpler kit, and then I started looking at it like, well, he still has a lot there. Mm-hmm. It's just more kind of on the sides, and it's on down low.
I am a little sad about the gong. That was always kind of the cool thing to see, but that's probably Nicko's thing, so we're not going to do that. He only had one bass drum, and not that giant rack full of toms that obscured the face.
Right.
So I was a little nervous about that, honestly, because I've seen clips of Bruce doing Iron Maiden stuff with a solo band, and this was probably in the 90s, and the drumming never seemed like it was like, oh, that's it's not really, that's not really the part. Like, you're not playing it correctly. Simon didn't play it note for note exactly the same, but I think he did a really good job. I wasn't sitting there thinking, well, this isn't right at all.
No, he did a fine job. And when people said it's not quite Nicko, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's not exactly Nicko.
Right.
But there was no time where like, okay, see, he's obviously not doing it. And he was working hard back there. There's no doubt
Correct.
about it.
Yeah.
But he got the job done, and it just shows you, look, Iron Maiden's got to go forward. You
Right.
lose Nicko, that sucks, but we've got enough of the other stuff around us. And thanks to that screen, I'm not even watching Bruce as much thanks to that screen, And he's still doing it at 66 years old, whatever it is. 66, he's still running around doing his thing. He has to take breaks for his voice once in a while, but he manages it very well, and he's still belting it out. And there's a couple of times where I saw him do it, and then I just look at you, and you're just shaking your head.
Yeah.
You're shaking. How does he do that? How is it possible at this age he can still do that?
Well, and how is it possible when parts of his anatomy are missing also?
Oh, well, that's true. He's had the cancer.
Yeah,
And
he has part of his tongue removed, and he can still sing. I mean, yeah, it's not. Is he singing like he was on the Power Slave tour in '84? No, but he's 60-something years old, and I mean, still, all those dudes look good. I mean, in good shape. Didn't look like anybody was physically like, oh, I gotta need a break here. They're jumping around. Bruce is all over the stage. He's in the front. He's on top. He's behind. He's got, it looks like the Cher show. He's got 10 different costume changes.
He's got some costume changes, yeah. and it's similar. It's basically the same setup physically as the last few tours. Mm-hmm. Certainly the one we saw in Europe 2 years ago, where it's almost like the guys are in a box and the drummer's up behind them, and then up around the drummer there is a runway all around that juts out
kind of at the base
on the left
of the
and
screen.
right. Yes. So Bruce can kind of fly up there, and that's when you see all four of them kind of get in the middle. When he's down low, you have to stay out of his little area because he has to hear himself, and he doesn't want you all over him. You've got other places to go.
Right.
But when he's not there and he's up top, then they all can kind of gather in the middle and kind of hang out. No, it's fantastic. And then when they do Phantom of the Opera, which is one that I have seen him do live and I think is really cool, again, it's them showing their kind of proggy roots and showing where the band is going to go in the future. It's this rundown, old, beaten up, abandoned theater which over the course of the song starts to be renovated. And I'm not with people, it's kind of just magically gets better, over time. It's kind of a cool visual backdrop to have while they're playing this pretty complicated song with the time changes.
Yeah, and it seems like it's there was a little bit of crowd work when he was talking about how, let's take us back to a abandoned theater or something, and then they go into that. I mean, you knew it was coming, but and again, the thing in the back just added to the song. It didn't take anything away. It wasn't like things were running around or anything like that. It just kind of created the mood for the song.
That's right, and it worked. I mean, it just gave you a little extra. The story of the Phantom of the Opera, yes, and Andrew Lloyd Webber has had an incredibly successful run with his version of it. But I don't know, I really like this one, and because I don't love the first two albums as much as I do like the next 4 or 5. It's just I don't give it as much time. But that's one they say you could have one song off that. I would take that one every time. Yeah.
All right.
I've been looking so long for you, now you won't get away from my grasp. You've been living too long and hiding behind that false mask. You know I know that you ain't got that lot to last.
All right. Then they go to an old tried but true, The Number of the Beast.
Yeah, and here's where I was kind of a little bit naughty in this one. Well, you walked in and there's big signs, every other thing they flash to. The band would like you to keep your cell phones away and enjoy the crowd or enjoy the show. And I'm thinking to myself, I know what's going to happen. When he gets into the first part where he gets into the big yell and the pyro comes on, I'm sorry, boys, but I need video of that because it's phenomenal. So I kind of had it down, and then when he got into it, it just kind of came up to film the part, and then I got off the video. But I'm like, I have to have this.
Yeah, no, look, and I actually appreciate that they don't want people doing that, and certainly not filming the whole time. The thing is, especially on the ground, you got to hold it up over your head to get it. Well, now you're obstructing someone's view. When I do it, and I only do snippets, I keep it chest high because I could just do that and keep it chest high. I'm not obstructing anyone's view. I'm getting a little clip here. And honestly, it was probably a clip of the screen anyway. It wasn't even a clip of the folks, of up close. I saw a great one from Budapest where somebody got the whole show. I get it. You don't want to obstruct people behind you. But if you're just getting a little bit and it's chest high there for us, I feel like it's a little bit different.
And I think we were respectful too. Because like you're saying, it's not blocking anybody. It's not the whole thing. It's just a couple of seconds. Just so I could send it home and say, hey, this is what's going on right now.
They showed the, like Nosferatu and the Wolfman up there. It's funny because I was like, okay, now there might be some scary stuff on this for the Wolf Cub when we brought her on night 2. And she saw the Wolfman come out and she's like, that was Chewbacca. There's nothing scary about him. I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. Because I'm telling you, I took her to the the Brit Floyd show when they were celebrating Wish You Were Here. And when they did some of the stuff from the wall, they had the Gerald Scarfe scary stuff, like when they grind the meat, the people, and she's like, this is scary. I mean, she didn't realize that was kind of like, yeah, I know, honey, I'm sorry. But
she handled that no problem.
She handled it because she was technically 13 that night. They sent me an email, I don't know, was it a week before the show? Might not have been that far before. It's like, hey, health authorities are trying to protect young people's hearing. You must be 13 to enter the show. The Wolf Cub had just turned 11 that day. And so I'm like, okay, honey, when we get there, they ask you how old you are, you say 13. Or they say, what's your birthday? You say 2012 instead of 2014. She goes, that's illegal. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a law. It's a rule that they made up. And look, it's for Swedish kids. You're not Swedish, okay? You're American. You can do what you want.
It's never okay to lie. However, really need to fudge the numbers here because we've made it this far. You're going to see this. And the other thing too is, and I was talking to my wife about this, it's because of the hearing. That's the deal.
Yes.
You brought her earplugs. You were being very respectful of that. 100%. In fact, she was breaking my chops as soon as we met up. Did you bring your earplugs? Do you have them with you?
Yep.
Yes, I've got them. So, very aware about that. So if that's what you're worried about, you took care of that. no problem.
That's right. And look, isn't that something that's really up to the parents? You know, I mean, maybe they call it child abuse if you don't have earplugs. Sure, yeah. I have to agree with you there. But she's making her own decision. So, you know, if anyone's offended, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I bought plane tickets, hotel room, and tickets to the show. You're not telling me she's not going. I've been promising her this for like 8 months or however long ago it was.
And she was over the moon when we were on the way there. She could not have been more excited to do this.
No, she was psyched. She was doing it, right? She's with Daddy in Sweden, taking the train, getting a shirt, all the fun stuff. And so the guy did ask her, how old are you? She said 13. He's like, okay, let her right through. And I'm like, clever girl. Just like we practiced. But here's the thing, dude. The girl sitting in front of us couldn't have been any older than her. She might not have been.
Yeah. So, but whatever.
You know, exactly. Her parents were there. And yeah, she wasn't 13. So it's my choice. You call me a bad parent. Fine. Go fuck yourself. She had the night of her life, and so did I.
Hi, this is Mick Wall, and you are listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
Next up was the Clairvoyant. Now, we came in on Seventh Son.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been kind of partial to these songs.
Yeah.
And at first, I'm like, oh, why did they choose that and not, you know, one of the others that I love so much from that album? And then when they played it live, I'm like, nope, this might have just been the right choice.
Well, what else would you have wanted to hear? Because we heard Can I Play With Madness the last time, and I think we were both like, you know, live, that's not really that great.
That's not as good as... No,
Yeah.
It wasn't that one, no. You know, what could it have been? Well, it could have been about 4 or 5 other things. I would take it over Only the Good Die Young.
Mm-hmm.
I do like The Evil That Men Do.
That's a good song, yeah.
I would probably take it over Infinite Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the story is good in the Clairvoyant. Moonchild's not bad, but Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, the title track, I wouldn't have even asked him to do that because I know how difficult it is to do, and I saw it, 12 years before or whenever it was. That to me was a real bonus. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, actually, before you say that, I think it was the first time that he addressed the crowd. The first night, he didn't say it the second night. He went out of his way to point out this is a very long set.
Yes,
so there wasn't a lot of back and forth with the crowd. Yeah, they had. I don't have the run times on all of these songs, but they've got.
It was more than 2 hours.
Well, I'm talking about the individual songs. I mean,
yeah.
These are long songs that they're doing back to back to back.
Yeah, I know. And they break it up a little bit, right? Like Phantom of the Opera is kind of long with the time changes. So then they do a couple normal ones, and then they do Power Slave. Then they only do 2 Minutes to Midnight, but then they do Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which is very long. Then Run to the Hills, which is shorter. Then Seventh Son, which is very long. Then The Trooper. Then Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is longer. So yeah, they kind of try to give Bruce breaks here when he can get it. But I like the Clairvoyant, and they made a Clairvoyant T-shirt as one of the designs. I thought it was well executed. I honestly, I would say it was number 1 over Seventh Son of the Seventh Son.
Okay.
I think it was I thought it was better than I expected.
I wonder why, I wonder how, but it seems that my power's getting stronger every day. I feel a strengthening I fall, but I'm scared I won't be able to control it anymore.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. They put up the album cover, the half
The single cover, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was kind of cool to see. They did that for a couple of these, and I always like the fact that they do have different art, not just a picture, not just a variant of the cover. They have different artwork for all of these singles.
Yeah, exactly. It's what makes it so cool, man.
And tonight, we're gonna kick your fucking ass, alright?
All right, next up, man, Power Slave. And Bruce brings back the mask.
Giant. It almost looks like it's newer because it looks like it's the feathers on it were even bigger, and to see the pyramid in the back, that was really cool.
Yeah, so cool. Basically, the Power Slave album cover with Pharaoh Eddie kind of in the middle there. And essentially, you kind of just went closer in and then up into that picture.
Yeah.
And by the way, lightning might strike the top and might run down the corners and stuff like that. It was just really cool. It's good. Again, it adds something. You're not watching the whole time because it's going too slowly to
Right.
change, but you're listening to the song and you're digging it, and there's some fire, there's some pyrotechnics there, and it was just, damn, dude, they really brought that out, and Bruce belted it out too, man. He really held some notes there and did an amazing job. So again, the set list is unbelievable. It's so good.
And the fact that they can completely change the stage in, I don't know, however long it takes to change the image, a second.
Yeah.
And it's totally different, and they're paying homage to these albums too. That you've seen the cover of Power Slave. I mean, a cover of Power Slave a million times, but to see it there on this giant screen, you kind of feel like, especially at the beginning, like you said, you're walking into it, and then you're going up into the pyramid itself. It just adds that much more to the experience.
Yeah, there's color in the sky changing. It's just fun. It's more immersive,
Yeah, correct.
It made it cool. And then they go into 2 minutes to midnight. All right, well, this is as classic gets, and the Wolf Cub loves this one.
That riff on the intro is phenomenal.
It is.
And now we go to the single cover of Eddie sitting on the tank.
Right, with the UN kind of flags around him there.
And then Adrian's got his custom Jackson. I don't know what the model number is, but it's got that painted on it. It's
got the graphics, yeah.
That was really cool.
It's really awesome, yeah, I know. And again, we kind of zoomed in on Eddie sitting there, and then he kind of points at us.
Yeah.
And then he pushes the button.
Yep. And then kaboom.
And it's all gone, yeah. And I was taught the Wolf Cub, all right, he goes, 2 minutes. The second time he goes, sing it to me. And he did it. He did it every time on the second one. And the crowd went off on it.
Yeah.
Sing it to midnight. It's just a fun one. I know they have to play newer songs sometimes. And anytime they do some older stuff, they're not always going to play your favorites. This is among my favorites. It really is. It's a classic.
Yeah, it just doesn't get old. It's cool. It's got enough. It's rocking enough. It's got a nice solo in it. And again, the thing in the back, just a little bit. It was cool to see the single cover. And yeah, the motion was to push the thing, and then the bomb goes off in the back. That was cool. And again, we're changing this all up again. Like you've changed. It's like you've taken everything off the stage and brought an entire new stage in a second and a half.
Exactly. So much fun. But this also could have been part of why Rod and the band were like, don't film anything. Yeah.
I think so.
Because
I'm glad I didn't see any of this before it.
I know. And I let my daughter watch part of The Trooper just because I wanted her to see Eddie before we went. But I'm not going to show you the rest because I know there's some really cool stuff on here. And so we didn't. And I even though she went to the second show and I got to see it before she did,
It was no less impressive the second night.
It was so much better. Oh no. And I was just so happy to be there too.
Although let's back up real quick because during Killers, the Killer Eddie came out on the stilts, and that was awesome. He's got the hatchet. He's swinging it around. He goes to the front and he's pointing to people in the audience and he's giving the throat slash like, I'm gonna kill you, and then Bruce kicks him in the nuts. Yeah. And it's just
it was funny. But he was slinging that axe around like not too far over their heads. We only got 2 Eddies, but I liked seeing him actually, and he moved pretty well and his eyes were a little different, and yeah, it was a fun one. No doubt. All right, after 2 minutes to midnight.
Yep, here we go.
Okay,
Get ready, kids.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Uh-huh.
Now, this was a little scary too, but to an 11-year-old or maybe a 13-year-old.
It was scary. It was
whatever.
scary to everybody when they put those graphics up. You're like, oh, it just brought it to life. Like, this is horrible.
But this is actually really awesome. And the thing is, I saw one on the internet that was not exactly this. It was just like someone's putting more like classic pirate pictures up and classic like fighting
Okay.
a huge octopus or a kraken or whatever up there, just to explain the story better.
Okay.
Because I have to admit, the first 100 times I heard it, I'm like, okay, I get it. There's a guy on a ship. He kills the albatross. It curses them. And then they all die, basically. I didn't really get the whole part of all the different bits of the story, but they really lined all that up through the animation and made it just awesome and so killer and easy to follow. It was amazing. My guess is they might not kill that. I thought that one might be one that they kill off after this tour. It's like, okay, look, it's long. It's hard to do all that. We're not going to revisit 12 minutes or however long the song is every night. So we're going to kill that off. But now that they have that amazing animation, now it's maybe one you want to keep around for a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah. So it starts off, he's telling the story. They show the bird being shot. And then, but really where it kicks in is during the middle part where it's instrumental, but it's really more of like they're just kind of making noises.
Yeah.
Like, you're on the ship, but they're showing you like this ship, and then the people like just floating to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was awesome. Like it made it come alive a lot more. You weren't just listening to it, you were watching the story unfold. I think that was huge. I hope they don't get rid of that.
No, I don't. Well, who knows? But I'll tell you something else I noticed during that part, Jackson, was that Steve was playing this boom, 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 through there with his thumb down. 1, 2, 3 strings. Like,
not pulling off.
Exactly. Just boom, boom, boom. It looked like a piece of machinery. It was so perfect. Boom, boom, and moved. It didn't twitch. It didn't. It's not like, it looked like a piece of machinery. Boom, 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 hitting that. I was captivated by it. I'm like, look at that, man. He's such a machine at doing this. He knows exactly, and it plays a little bit differently. Doesn't matter. Does it perfect every time. And that was cool because like around them was like the ropes and the line on the ship and little portals and little lanterns and stuff like that. It was like, it was really cool.
And it was also cool to see that time when Adrian was working like how Eddie Van Halen plays Cathedral.
Right.
He works the volume, but that's what he was doing to kind of make that like, just that lonely, horrendous feeling of doom coming.
Yeah, when Bruce goes, it's just amazing. It was an amazing piece of the show, and that's like the middle. That's like the middle piece of the show. Just unbelievable. So they're like, whoa, okay, what are we doing now? Run to the hill. Oh my God, we're not even stopping. Here we go. Maybe that's the one time that I noticed Nicko wasn't there, just because he did that in a very special way. Boom, blah, blah, boom, blah, blah. And Simon, of course, did a little bit differently. Didn't do it badly, didn't do it wrong necessarily. Just, I'm used to it a very specific way. But hey, I mean, it was still fun.
Yeah, and so in the background is the single cover, and they made a video of that years ago, and they have the who was it, Buster Keaton,
right?
Black and white with like the Indians. I'm glad they didn't use any of that because
engines.
That's that time has come, and we don't need any of that. And it was cool to see the single cover of the Eddie fighting the devil, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Up
then
on a mountaintop.
on the bottom there, or it's just kind of like up on a big rock, but then below them, you can kind of see the fires burning and the people down there and maybe like some sticks going up down. So it's a little bit animated. Again, it's not crazy, doesn't take away from it. It just adds a little something to see there. And, that's one, it's so classic. I mean, would they take that off the set list because they have to make room for others? I really hope not.
They could take it off. I don't think they would retire it. There's no way that's getting retired.
Run to the hills. Run for your lives. Run to the hills. Run for your lives.
But one that may very well be is the next one, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, just because it is so hard for Bruce to do, and it's super long, and there are other things to play off of that album that are shorter. And I mean, look, it was cool. It was a video that I actually took of that one.
Okay. I'm really surprised they did this and Ancient Mariner. Those are two very long songs. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying it was interesting that they put those two on the same set list.
I know, and Hallowed Be Thy Name 2 songs later, too. I mean, it's just, and Power Slave 2 songs earlier. I mean, no matter what you do, this set list is remarkably difficult. Mm-hmm. And look, the guitarists have backup. Bruce doesn't. So plus he's got to run around and go on both sides and all that kind of stuff. So crazy. But no, I did catch a video of it because it was the cover of Seventh Son with the dude kind of holding the fetus in the womb hopping around in there. But then there were like torches flowing past it. Mm-hmm. Above it, if that makes sense. And it's got the ice kind of, with like the real fold out.
Right.
Of Seventh Son.
Gatefold.
The gatefold with all the ice sculptures and all that kind of fun stuff. And then it's like, these little spaceships are kind of holding these things. Not to mention some of his vertebrae would kind of slide off and then drop into the water, splash every once in a while, which was kind of funny. But then that's Bruce kind of right underneath it. It looks like one of those things are going to hit him in the head, which made it kind of fun. But again, it's a cool backdrop to this epic song. And he couldn't hold it. Oh, he had to go, oh, and then stop and then let them play and then come back. Oh, which is the best way to do it for any human being, especially one his age. But even on Made in England, he said, all right, look, this is very difficult to do live. So I'm going to, pull it out. Well, that's when he's still in his 20s or whatever.
That was in 1987 or 88 when he did that. Yeah.
So of course it was hard back then. It's hard almost 40 years later. So they had to augment a little bit, but it was still fantastic.
Today is born the seventh son, born of woman, the seventh one, and he, in turn, of a seventh son. He has the power to heal. He has the gift of second sight. He is the chosen one. So it shall be written, and so it shall be done.
Then they get to one that I don't think they really can retire, and that's the Trooper.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to say, hey, give me one song, like I've never heard of Iron Maiden, play me one of their songs, that's the one song I'm going to play.
Yeah, and I think that even though it's not the album cover is Eddie in chains in the insane asylum. That single picture of the Trooper, to me, is more iconic. With the sword and the flag. Yeah.
I don't have the Peace of Mind t-shirt. I've got the Trooper t-shirt.
Correct.
Man. Yeah, that's so cool. And Trooper Eddie comes out on the stage with his big sword and backpack and swinging around there. And the old Wolf Cub thought that was super cool for sure.
He does do a little air sword playing.
He does. It makes it fun. Yeah, that was awesome. So, I didn't get video of that, but I got some shots of that that I will probably share here as we put this out this week. But then one that I didn't think they'd do again, because again, it's long and it requires some vocal dexterity by Bruce, was Hallowed Be Thy Name. Mm-hmm. And this may have been the best use of the video screen.
Yeah, it was kind of a little more theatrical. He starts off, there's a cage on the top of the stage that he's in. So, he's in talking about being in prison.
Yep.
Yeah, then in the back is like it's almost like a maze going up.
Yeah, staircase that weaves its way up to the top. So he sings the part about, waiting in my dark cell, blah, blah, blah. And then the cage blows up. Fire, psh, Bruce gets out of it, obviously, but he blows up and then he's gone. And then there's Bruce on the screen, walking up the staircase, being chased by a spirit or a phantom or something.
Now, I will tell you that the first time I saw this, because it's not a projection. It's an LED screen, so there's no like shadow. He's about, like, the perspective is about the same. So when he's on the screen for a second, he starts to go up higher. Like, wait a minute. Where the hell? You can't go that high.
You can't build that. Yeah.
What? That's when you figure out, no, now he's gone. And that's part of the
video. Yeah. And he's walking up this thing, being chased by a spirit, walks up the other way, and then eventually hangs, and his spirit goes away. And it was kind of amazing. Then he comes back, different outfit. It was just, wow. This is actually really cool.
Around his neck. He takes it off. He throws it out. Yeah. That was definitely probably the most theatrical one that they did. But it was cool.
It was amazing, and yeah. I mean, just still had the power to belt that out after all these years. And then, time to wrap up the set with the one they always wrap up the set with, Iron Maiden. But they even made this tired old thing super duper classic. Tell them about it, Jackson.
Well, it's nice that I know they play it every time. I know you're sick of it. I'm still in it's okay. We'll listen to that. But it's cool because it's a sing-along. It's easy for the crowd to get into it. Everybody knows about it. And then, they've got some stuff going on, but then kind of almost at the end, you've got this picture of Eddie, or a graphic of him. And it's like, it's almost like it's 3D. Like he didn't have 3D glasses or anything like that, but it looks like he's coming out of the thing and reaching for people.
They make him huge and he like pops out, and he's like, scraping for people and stuff like that. It just made it a fun way to wrap up the show and for them to do this classic that they never don't play it.
I would imagine that back in the day, this was the part of the show where the practical Eddie would cut, like especially on the Power Slave tour, would come down and kind of move the arms around and everything.
That's right.
It's kind of like that, only it's way cooler because it's not.
It's all digital, yeah.
Right. It's not somebody in the back working bicycle springs or whatever.
And then they take it just a momentary break. They do say thank you, good night for now.
Right.
Because they got to come back up. They got to finish in a reasonable amount of time. But listen to this. I mean, as far as some of these they haven't played in years, and like we say, they're going to retire some, so you'll never see them again. Murders in the Rue Morgue, first time since 2005. Wrathchild, first time since 2017. Killers, first time since 1999.
Wow. Okay.
Phantom since 2014. Clairvoyant since 2013. Power Slave 2017. 2 Minutes 2019, Rime of the Ancient Mariner 2009, Seventh Son 2014, and Fear the Dark, first time in the encore.
Okay.
because Fear of the Dark has really become a real staple for them. Because it is fantastic live. It kind of starts out slow. There's like, yeah, and they jam along. They hop around, which gets the crowd going. But it's also a yonic track. And there aren't a ton of those in the set list these days. So it gives them time to shine. But we're not there yet.
No.
Because we got to come back. And of course, they start with Churchill's speech for Aces High.
And to me, this is almost like we're starting all over again. Because I know back in for a couple of different tours, they've used this as the opener. Because you could, you play that and then you play the beginning part and then they come running back out on stage again. To me, it was like here we go again. This is a whole nother concert we're getting. Because the Churchill speech is just phenomenal. If you don't want to defend your island, you get something wrong with you.
Yes, exactly.
And then they go into the drum part, and then the lights are they're shooting, like there's machine gun fire, and then they go actually into the song. And this was the one that there was actually like kind of a movie going on in the background.
Yeah, definitely. You had Eddie in dogfights shooting at people and stuff like that. I think Bruce had his scarf and his
pilot's
goggles
hat
and
on,
stuff on. Again, it's another one that I absolutely love, and I'm so glad that they still do it. And Wolf Cub loved it too. And yeah, there really is something to watch. And as far as, well, if you're going to talk about a dogfight, don't just sing about it, show it to them,
Right. And even though there was a lot going on, I don't think that it took away from the song. It just made it feel like it was that more frantic, like, yeah, you're in this plane, people are trying to kill you. You've got to fight to
live to fly, fly to live. Yep,
and
that's right.
I don't, even though there was a lot going on, that added perfectly to this song.
No, it was great, man. Killer. So much fun. And then, Wolf Cub's favorite song. I think maybe the crowd's favorite song, to be honest with you.
Okay, so let's stop there for a minute, because on the second night, you said to me probably, I don't know, 28 times. I don't know. I don't know if she's going to make it. We were going to try, but, if we got to leave early. Not 1 second was there. No, I'm tired. I want to go home, because she knew she was waiting for this part of the show.
That's right. That's right. And then we got there, and when he goes, yeah, and the lights go boom, and all the guitars run up to the front,
yeah,
and the crowd goes nuts. They've all seen it. They've all seen Rock in Rio. They've all seen people jump up and down and go crazy for this song. And they want to be a part of it. They want to do it too. And God, is it fun live.
Yeah, and it's cool because, again, he starts at the top of the stage. He's got like the big top hat and the coat on and the lantern, and he starts into that, and then the moon starts to come up behind him.
Yeah.
And then you're in a graveyard. Oh, is it awesome? It's awesome.
It's kind of Fear of the Darkish cover, and they kind of move through it throughout. Yeah. And I don't know if Steve bounced up and down the first night, but he did the second night.
The second night, he was bouncing up and down a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when they get into the Fear of the dun 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 dun, Fear of the dun dun dun, and that's when people tend to bop up and down. So cool.
I have a constant fear that something's always there. Fear of the dark. Fear of the dark. Have a phobia. Someone's always there.
But then, they wrap it up with, God, one of our very favorites, which we did see a couple years back on the last tour, but Wasted Years. I got to say that although we tend to leave early, especially when we've got public transportation to catch, so we don't get stuck in a mass of people, but that may have had the coolest graphics as far as you're in the spaceship from the single.
Yeah.
And then everything on the stage around the boys was just kind of part of the control center for the spaceship. And there were numbers ticking down and stuff like that. And and it was bright too. It wasn't dark. It was bright. I think it was really something to behold. It's an amazing little piece that they put together there to wrap up the show.
Yeah, so we had to get out of there to get onto the train. But then you sent me a video of it that somebody had taken straight on. And that's where I saw them. It looked like there was no break. Like everything on the stage and the screen, it was one big image.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was really cool. And I love that song, but I'm not trying to be in the crowd with 40,000 other people trying to get out of there at one time.
Exactly. So, look, is that the best set list ever? For me, for my money, of the 10 times I've seen them, and I didn't get to see this twice, but this is the best set list that they've ever done. I could almost not put together a better set list.
Okay. And I'll have to say that, I'm still new at this game, so this was fantastic. The only thing that I would say about the last one was that since it was so heavily somewhere in time, I was pleasantly surprised, and I love the Senjutsu album that they were touring for. But as far as
right.
if you were going to see a greatest hits tour, it would be hard to top this one.
The only thing I would say is I would certainly take out Wrathchild because I don't love it.
Okay.
And I would probably suggest something like Running Free.
Okay.
Because that is
off the first
Diano
record.
era, yeah. And it's a fun one to do live. And then I don't love Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Okay.
And so for me, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go. If you want to stay in that era, you could go with something like Purgatory, but I would probably go with like The Prisoner for me. Just because I think that's an amazing song. It gives Adrian a chance to sing. You could do Flight of Icarus, obviously.
Yeah, that's a good track.
Something like that. But look, that's picking nits. This is the greatest set list I've ever seen. When they come next year, we got to figure out where they're going to go. I think we should probably see them once.
You're talking about in North America.
In North America.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I don't know if I want to go to South America because I don't want to be in that sea of people.
I would love to go to South America. I just don't know if I could handle it. They're just the fans down there are out of their minds, and I'm too old.
I'm too old to deal with all of that. If you can
sorry.
guarantee me space in like a skybox, okay, I'll pay it.
Correct.
If they go to Australia, that might require some serious planning.
Right.
That's really far away. And the thing is, we could still go to another country. We could still go to like Toronto or Montreal or something like that.
That would be cool. Yeah, I think it would be cool to see them in another country that's not that far away. You've said a couple of times that the crowds in the United States are not going to be the same.
Right.
So it wouldn't hurt my feelings to go to Toronto, but yeah, the Australia thing wouldn't be bad, or just pick another place in Europe that we haven't been to, because that was a lot of fun.
Well, I just feel like they're doing Europe this summer, and so then next year would be like North, South America, maybe Japan and Australia. We'll see, because the thing is, they planned this out so far in advance, it won't be that long. I swear to God, I bought those tickets in August or September last year, and now here it is June.
Yeah.
So, and if they want to go to Australia, wouldn't they do it like in January and February when it's nice and summery down there?
Correct.
So
might fit in a nice holiday.
That's right. So we'll see. But look, the bottom line is, Jackson, 10 times, those are amazing shows. I had a blast. And then like, I hadn't had any beers in 11 months. And then I'm like, let's go out. Because guess what? At 11:30 at night in Stockholm in June, it's not dark.
No. And everything is still jumping too.
That's right. And the beautiful kids are out, and we end up in this English pub where they're blaring this music. I mean, it's louder than the fucking concert was. But, we're having a blast. It's like we're together. We're wide awake. We can text all our buddies back home because
everybody's still awake.
Yeah, it's midnight for us. Well, yeah, it's 6 o'clock for them on a Friday night. They're like getting ready to have dinner. So we had fun texting with our friends. We have a few beers. I got to number 3.5. I'm like, okay, I don't drink anymore. I got to stop. We're like, yeah, okay. Go out at 2 a.m. Still not dark. In fact, it's starting to get light again. So.
I think that's what it was. I think when we left that deal, it was starting. The cycle was starting again. So yeah, it was It was amazing because I've never been that far north before. Even the farther north I think that I've been here doesn't
yeah.
compare to that. And yeah, that the whole deal of, oh, there's like an English pub down the street. Oh, okay, perfect. But they're playing like, I don't even know what it was. Not techno music, but
No, but they're playing it loud, and
yeah,
it was
really-
packed. I mean, it was packed.
yeah.
Look, it was one of the greatest nights of my life. And then to be able to take the Wolf Cub, who I've been promising this to for almost a year. Like, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you in Europe. Let her watch the video so she can get familiar with the stuff. Telling her friends she's going to go. And then she gets to go. And it's fantastic. It's a killer show. I couldn't have scripted really a better one. I don't know. It was an amazing trip. It was well worth it. It was a blast. So glad we did it.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm glad that she had a good time. I'm glad she hung in there for the whole deal. She did not seem like at any one time she was like, I'm kind of over this. She was psyched for everything. And I'm glad that she got to see the whole deal. And then even on the way home, it didn't seem like she was tired at all. She was amped up like everybody else.
No, she was doing parkour off of everything.
Well, that's
you know?
true. Yeah.
Hopping around. I'm like, honey, it's like 11:30 at night. Aren't you tired? Like, no, parkour. You know, what was crazy because we screwed up our own schedules by not going to sleep when we should have. Mm-hmm. When I got home from drinking with you at 2:45 in the morning, they were up waiting for me. Like, what are you all doing? I shouldn't be up. You guys are up at 2 a.m. And they were just having fun, and they were making like fake commercials and stuff like that. They were just having a blast together. So, like, yeah, whatever. Well, you know, I can't say you shouldn't be up when I'm up.
Right, exactly.
This bodes well for you staying up, you know, all the way through the show tomorrow. So, heck yeah, let's do it. So, special time that we've had with Iron Maiden, Jackson, you and I. And so that's why we got to find ways to keep this going.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing is I'm hooked now. It's the I don't even care what they're doing. Let's just do it. Like, I'm not going to say, well, you know, the set list, nah, forget it. Let's just go.
You know, it's great at this age to still have bands that you grew up with who are not only doing well or still out there, but they're killing it. They're as good as they've ever been, and that is very rare. And Iron Maiden is a bit of an anomaly in that they have just kept going strong all these years. Yes, they've had lineup changes, and now they have a new drummer for the first time in more than 40 years, but they're putting on the best show ever. They're doing the best that they've ever done. And it's just great that there's still some of those out there. Some of the bands we grew up with that we love that used to be killer live 30 years ago, they're done. You can't see them anymore. Or they still exist, but there's only one or maybe two members left, and they're not quite what they used to be. Iron Maiden is still the real deal. I'm so happy that I've gotten into seeing them over the past 25 plus years. I'm so glad I finally got Jackson on board, because once you know, you know. Once you've seen them live, you're like, oh, wow, this really is something special. This is something worth traveling to. This is something worth shaping a trip, a vacation around, because they can't be everywhere every year. But I just had a blast, just fun nights in Stockholm. The people of Stockholm were great. Fun nights with Jackson. So glad the Wolf Cub came and got to experience Iron Maiden in Europe, where they are more celebrated, but the crowd is respectful and adult. Unlike in America, where they're a bunch of animals, or in South America, well, that's just too many damn people, isn't it? Still would love to see them there, but we'll see what 2026 holds, and we'll see what kind of dates start to line up, and we can start to think about where we want to go see them again, because, yeah, we're in this for life now. As long as they're going to play like this and put on these kind of shows, I'm in. I think Jackson is too, and we'll absolutely be telling you about it here on The Wolf. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? Email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You can let us know the bands, the albums, the live shows, the concerts, the DVDs, the books, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. We need you to be sure and subscribe and download wherever you get your podcast. Those downloads are the lifeblood of growing our show, as are 5-star reviews. If you're thinking about it, please go out and give us a review. Apple and Spotify are the big ones. It just helps us find more rock and roll fans like you. It means the world to us. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. And you know they have all sorts of amazing Iron Maiden stuff in stock. In fact, I might go ahead and burn my own code UGLY. Might just burn it on some Iron Maiden classic stuff. Been sitting on that for a long time. Think maybe the time's come to round out the collection, get some really cool stuff in there, and save a big fat 10% with the code UGLY. That's it for this week. And the thing is, we've got some more really fun stuff coming up here in the coming weeks. We've been planning that for a long time. We're so psyched we finally got to see Iron Maiden again. But we've also got some fun stuff lined up afterwards. It's all kind of coming together, so you're going to have to stay tuned. And until next time, to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.